All right, all right, all right. How's everyone doing? Just checking everything out before we start. It is 1 p.m. right now, Eastern Standard Time. I'm just checking out the health of our live stream before we start. So everyone get comfortable. Trying to make this as quick as possible. And yeah. Today is all about episode 32 from the server room. I cannot believe it's already 32 episodes, and I cannot believe it's almost 2018. Holy moly. So right now the YouTube channel is stating that it is receiving the content. That's always a good thing. I'm not receiving any drops as of yet. We are live. Epic, awesome, awesome. All right. As always, guys, if you have the power to leave a comment, leave the comment, say hi, hello, whatever. Let me know where you're from, how are you doing, how's the weather. Thank you so much for joining. It is 1:01 right now, and let's just get started. So we're gonna switch the scene. I'm gonna switch it real quick. We're gonna go straight to the Google document, and the Google document is going to be provided for you guys at the end of the show. I haven't printed it out, so if you guys see me, see my face like face down this way, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just me looking at my notes. I'm getting old, and half of the stuff that I type up is, it's just for me to refresh my brain. It's always good for us IT people to keep everything documented. That is the #1 thing that you should do when you're starting in the IT world. Document everything. Write it down, right? Doesn't matter where you have it, Google Docs, Word document, just write it down. Write those steps, right? So first things first, announcements, Lenovo. Big thank you for Lenovo for always hooking us up with the server that we have been using throughout the entire show season, the TD340. That's what we've been using. The Discord is live. We have about 16 to 18 people there. We have a couple of people that have been already promoted. So thank you for that support. Again, it's another area that you can harass me. Not really harass me, but you could catch me, grab me, ask questions, share information that you have that you want to distribute to others, Next week, December 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to do a live stream dealing with the Legion Y720T. T is for tower. I did a unboxing first impressions. I'm going to be doing the review after the live stream. Within the Google Doc, you could just click on this guy. It will take you to the unboxing first and the first impressions video. It's a beautiful gaming machine with 16 gigs, an i7 7700 K processor, I believe, with a 4.2 gigahertz clock speed. It has 2 hard drives, 256 solid-state drive. That's the primary operating system hard drive. And then you have a raw, I believe, 2 terabyte SATA drive. It's an amazing gaming machine. The graphics card is a 1070. I think the highest that you could go is a 1080. Right now, that machine is running 1070, and I was playing my favorite game, League of Legends. That's my favorite game that I love to play the most, and it runs like awesome. It gave me about 260, 300 frames per second. It was great. Shout out to the top 3 chatters from episode 31. So I'm going to zoom in right here. #1 is Ram Lan. Congratulations. We got Sylvia. He's from Brazil. Congratulations. #3 is me, but that doesn't matter. And we have Ben King. So those are the top 3 chatters from last week's show. All right. So today's show is all about building a home Linux server and hardware. What type of hardware should you get? Now, for me, I like to take advantage of whatever hardware I already have lying around the house. So if I have like an old Optiplex or old Latitude laptop, most likely I'm going to take advantage of it. Why? And why Linux? Because Linux is a free operating system, and there's so many Linux versions. Like, holy moly. You're probably saying to yourself, which one is the best one? I can't really tell you. It's just really depends on which one is best for you, how comfortable you feel. And that's one of the things I would love to ask you guys and see. Hopefully you can answer during the chat. What's your favorite Linux operating system? Leave it at the comments. Let me know which one you like best. I like a couple, and the ones that I like to mess around with is Ubuntu, Linux Mint, and Gentoo. Gentoo is really extremely old, and the reason why I like using Gentoo Linux operating system is because that's the one that I learned the first one. I created like a PDF server, so that's the very first Linux operating system that I learned. Now you could either purchase it, you could purchase a machine or use an old machine. That's the best thing about Linux operating systems. You could take advantage of these old machines that Windows 10 doesn't support it, but most likely a Linux operating system supports those old hardware. Or you could purchase it if you have the budget. Now, if you purchase, I do recommend looking into the next unit computing, which is Nook. And did a little link right here to the B&H. It gives you a breakdown, some of the Nooks that you could find. Now, the average price line is between $1,000 and I would say $1,000 to $400. The top seller right now for B&H is the Intel one. And some of these Nooks, you don't have hard drives. So take advantage if you can find the one that has a complete kit that gives you a hard drive as well as memory. Some of them don't come with memory. Some of them don't come with memory, or some of them don't come with hard drives. So the ones with the full kit that comes with hard drives and memory, you're going to spend a little bit more money. Okay. Now, for today's show, you know, lack of resources. I'm doing everything within a virtual machine, but don't worry. I'm going to give you all the notes and do everything step by step, okay? Another thing is to take in consideration either Ethernet or wireless. Now, if you have a wireless server within your home server, it's kind of iffy. I don't like having any type of server at home that's constantly having these services that I'm going to be depending on wireless. I like to have it wired, okay? So for me, I would definitely go wired. UPS, this is definitely a must to have. Within the Google Docs, it gives you a link of some of the ones. Very expensive. You don't need to spend this much money. You could get a $100 one, which is a great surge protector. You want to keep this server up and running. You want to treat this home server as it's a server on your LAN room, okay? Hopefully, a lot of you guys have your 9-to-5 job, have servers, and you have extreme UPS power supplies that keep these guys up and running. So if there's a power surge, your servers are up and running until you're capable of shutting them down the correct way, right? Cool. Then another thing is location. Really depends, because it's your home. You're probably saying, oh yeah, I could just put it anywhere. No, you can't really put it anywhere. You gotta make sure that the location that you put this Linux server or any server does not collect dust. It's not humid. It doesn't. It's just nice and cool. Okay. You don't want to put it in a place that it's a lot of dust bunnies. It gets a lot dirty, really dusty. It's you block it with boxes or books. It's gonna burn out. Then the budget. Again, take advantage. If you have old machines, go for it. Old machines, you already have it. It's less that you have to spend. And only thing you might have to spend is a good power supply, or you could take advantage of a good surge protector. You probably get a good surge protector for maybe 30, 40 bucks. If you have that money, go for it. Buy yourself a Nook, a computer, and buy yourself a UPS and all that good stuff. Now, Linux servers or home servers, it depends on what you really want to do. You could do file sharing, or, you know, storing photos, or storing, like for me, video files, or you could create a media home server, which we're going to go over today. So if you want to create a media home server, you have to have a better processor. So anything that's i5 up, i5, i7 is great. Sixth generation, i7 generation will work great with rendering 1080p videos. If you want to stream 4K, most likely you got to get an i7 7th generation processor with a lot of memory. Now, the standard to run a media home server is 8 gigs, and definitely get a solid state drive, because the read and write speed will make a difference. If you can't afford a solid state drive, hopefully you could afford solid state drives, because they're pretty cheap nowadays. I think you get a solid state drive for 128 gig solid state drive for maybe less than 40 bucks. So really cheap. Operating system that we're going to be doing today is my favorite, Ubuntu Server Edition. We're going to do the LTS, which LTS stands for long-term support, 5 years. And I apologize. I'm going to be coughing a lot because I am sick. I'm fighting a cold. So I apologize those individuals that are on the stream. And you're going to hear a lot of coughing. So again, I'm so sorry. So a note is I used the guided use entire disk and set up LVM, which LVM is the logical volume management manager. This is the configuration that I did when I set up the partition. So we're going to go straight into the PowerPoint because I love PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint is only about 41 slides. And we're going to go this real quick because this is just the installation part. And boom. So what I did is, again, I'm doing everything within a virtual environment, but you got to understand I'm doing everything in a virtual environment because they're lack of resources and lack of money, you know. And I'm using version 16.04.3, and we're using the server edition. So I mounted that within my virtual machine. My virtual machine is called BJ-Home Server. You could call it whatever you want, but the name, this naming right here is going to be used, or you could actually name your home server during the installation part. So from here, you're going to pick English or whatever language you speak. Most likely English for me. I can't speak, you know, correctly half the time. So from here, once you pick English, it's going to want you to do something. So you want to do is install Ubuntu Server. I'm using this operating system. So whatever operating system you choose, this might be a little different for you. And then you're going to pick your setup language, English again. Select your location. It's going to be United States. Configure the keyboard. You could do yes or no. It's going to detect the keyboard layouts. It's up to you. I think if you hit no, you're going to get this to configure the keyboard. Pick the English, US, or whatever language or country keyboard language you have. And then configure the keyboard again. I'm going to do the keyboard layout of English, US. And it's going to load all the additional components. It's going to do more configuring. It's going to basically do the network stuff. And this is where you name your server. Okay. So you give it a beautiful, nice little host name. You could call it whatever you want. For me, I called it BJ-Home Server. Hit continue. And then you give a full name for the new user. Now, the full name is, the new user is basically the user that's going to allow you to configure and modify and remote into this server, your home server. So I gave it a name of BTNHD. Hit continue, and that's the username account. I'm going to hit continue again and provide a password. Now, give it a strong password. Even though you're probably saying to yourself, just give it a password of 123 password. No, best practice is, regardless if you're doing the server at home, give it a strong password no matter what. Okay, give it a password. Confirm it again, hit continue, boom, 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 then you're good to go. Now, I do recommend that you should encrypt your home directory. You don't have to do it, but I do recommend doing the encryption within your home directory, even though it's your home. But again, you want to try to practice. You want to do best practice as much as possible, okay? Even though you do it at your 9-to-5 job, do it at home as well, okay? Your home is your fortress. You got to protect it. So from here, you can hit yes. For me, because I'm doing everything in a virtual environment, I didn't really care, you know. I hit no, and it's going to start setting up the clock, the time server, and all that good stuff. And then it's going to say most likely you have to plug in your physical machine into your network, and your Linux is automatically going to enable DHCP and grab an IP address. If it does, it will pick the location of where your time zone. For me, it's America/New York, and I hit yes, that's correct. And this is the part with my Google Docs that I told you guys that I did the guided use entire disk and set up a logical volume manager, okay? From there, and then I only have one hard drive, okay? So most likely your home server is going to have multiple hard drives. We're going to go over that. For this scenario is this: you have a physical machine, an old machine, or you purchase, let's say, a NUC. And that NUC has, I would say, 500 gigs, 200 gigs, right? You install the operating system on that 200 gigs or on that physical machine. Then you purchase yourself an external hard drive, and then you plug it into your home server. That external hard drive is what you're going to be putting your media, your photos, your documents, everything. Okay, that's the way that you should do it. My virtual machine is the same approach. I created a hard drive, a virtual hard drive of 64 gigs, and I'm going to be installing the operating system within the 64 gigs. And then later on, we're going to create another storage device within my virtual machine, and I'm going to show you how to partition it, how to create the file system, all that stuff, because that's the same thing that you have to do on your physical machine, right? That has one hard drive, and if you plug and play an external hard drive, you have to go inside the Linux to create a partition, to create a file system. You have to do all that stuff, okay? So once you do that, you pick your partition, and from here it's going to say write the changes to the disk and configure the LVM. Definitely that's what you want. Hit yes. And then the amount of volume group to use for guided partitioning, you're going to hit continue, and a nice little summary, and you hit yes. It's going to start partitioning and formatting, installing the system, and then most likely you're not going to use a HTTP proxy information blank. You can leave it blank. You're not going to use this at home, so you can just leave it blank and hit continue, and it's going to continue doing its thing. And for now, I'm going to show you guys how to configure this, but a lot of you guys, especially me, I like to click real fast and I forget to set this to automatic. But if you do no automatic updates, don't worry, I'm going to show you guys how to configure it later on. So this is what I did, no automatic updates. And from here, you are able to pick certain features. During the installation, I automatically pick Open SSH Server because I want to remote into my machine using PuTTY. If you do not do that, within the Google Docs, I show you guys how to install it. It's really simple. But for me, during the installation, you have the option to install Open SSH. You even have the option to install a DNS server or Samba file server, which we're going to be doing pretty soon. But I'm going to show you guys how to do all that stuff manually. But during the installation, the only thing I did was Open SSH Server. That's the only thing that I installed. It does this thing. And from here, you're going to install the grub bootloader to the master boot record. You definitely need to do this, so hit yes. And it's going to start installing the grub bootloader. And then done. You're finished. Installation is good to go. So you're probably saying to yourself, okay, Bernardo, you're doing this on a virtual machine. How the hell can I do it within a physical machine? Well, you get yourself a flash drive. You download the ISO. You get yourself one of those utilities that allows you to burn an ISO to a flash drive. I like to use Rufus, and then you just burn it. You plug in the flash drive that has the image, your Linux image in it. You go inside the BIOS. Most likely is F2. Certain machines are F2 or F10 or F1. Get into BIOS. You find the option to boot from boot drives or boot devices, and you pick your USB and you boot from there, and you start the installation. Okay. So once the installation was done, you're gonna get this prompt, which you need to log in to the username and password that you provided during the installation. So I'm going to close this up real quick. And I forgot to mention one thing. I mentioned about the live stream stuff on 1220, right? Okay, I did. All right. So let's do this. This is my server right here. My beautiful server. Awesome. I'm going to log in. Right? And I'm going to provide the password. So I'm going to log in. So I'm logged in. Now, I don't want to do everything from here. I want to do everything within here. I want to do it within a Windows operating system. Not Windows operating system, you know, a Windows machine. So there it goes. Okay. So I have a PuTTY session right here. And my PuTTY session, if I load this save session right here, so I'm going to zoom in for you guys. I'm going to load it. And right now, it's basically BTNHD at the IP address of the server and the port. By default, when you enable or install Open SSH server within your Linux operating system, the port is 22. Okay, you could change it up if you want, but 22 is the default one. You're probably saying to yourself, how in the hell did you get the IP address? Good question. So the couple ways that you could get the IP address. So most likely within your Linux platform, I'm already logged in. You could do is, I believe, if config is one of the commands, and that will give you the IP address. Now, the IP address is automatically taken from your wireless router or wherever you have your physical machine plugged into. Okay, your home network already has a DHCP server pushing out IP addresses to the machines. If you plug in a physical machine and you do the installation, you do the Linux installation, it's automatically going to grab the IP address from your DHCP server at home. So this is the reason why I got that. But sometimes servers get updated and you need to restart that machine because of updates. You don't want to lose this IP address, because if you lose this IP address, then that means you have to go back inside your Linux server and do an if config and find that IP address. So I'm going to show you guys how to hardwire that bad boy to your server, because that's the best way to do it. Okay. So I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use the console right here because I can enlarge it a little bit. So I'm going to open this guy up. Awesome sauce. And there it goes. And bingo. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to use this here because it's a little larger for me and I'm able to see everything. So within my notes, because I am a little blind like a bat, let's take that to the side, put this over here. Excellent. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of stuff I forget because I'm just getting extremely old. So within our notes, if you did not install OpenSSH package during the installation part, you could run this command. You could run, let's see if I can shrink this a little bit. There you go. You could shrink. You could do sudo app install OpenSSH-server, and you're gonna give the password to hit it. Now I already have the stuff installed, so it's not going to install anything for me because I did it during the installation. But if you did forget, just run this command and then you're good to go. Now, if you want to provide a static IP address, this is how you would assign a static IP address. You need to get into the interfaces folder, config folder. I mean, not folder, file. This is the etc folder. Under here is network folder. Under the network folder, there's a file called interfaces. So if I do sudo, actually I'm not going to do sudo because I'm going to make any modifications. I'm going to do nano. I like to use nano. There's a lot of Linux editors out in the world. There's VI, gedit. I like to use nano. I'm a big fan with nano. So I'm going to do nano, and I'm going to do network interfaces, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so when you do this the first time, you're not going to see this. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you guys can see. You're not going to see all this. The only thing that you're going to see is this right here. This is going to say DHCP. Why it's going to say DHCP? Because the Linux server received the IP address from your DHCP. By default, that's set up like that. But if you want to hardwire that IP address to your server, you need to do the following. Now, ENS 160 is not what you're going to see. This is normally seen within a virtual environment. So in a physical environment, I think it's ETH0, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone on the chat, let me know. But I think that's what on the physical environment, it is ETH0. For a Linux, for a virtual environment, you're going to get this. So what I did was I changed the DHCP to static. I gave it an attribute of address. I gave it the address. Network is going to be that. Network is going to be this. Okay, net mask, I mean. Network is going to be that. Broadcast is going to be this, the range between this and this. The gateway, and my DNS name server. Now, my DNS name server is my Active Directory. I already have a DNS server already active within my environment. But if this was at home, I would use I would use this public Google DNS name server. Okay. Once you do that, you save it. depending on what editor you use. For me, I like to use Nano. Within Nano, I could just do a Control X, yes, and it saves it. So again, all these notes are there, so do not worry. Once you do the modifications within the interfaces file, you need to restart your network. So running this command right here will restart it. I'm not going to restart it because, hey, it's already up and running. It's already hardwired. Another way that you could do it if you don't want to set up or don't want to touch the interfaces file, you could use the MAC address network adapter. So within your console, within your Linux console, let me zoom in real quick. You could do is, I think it's IPA. There it goes, IPA. And if you look for the MAC address right here, MAC address, you grab this MAC address, copy it and paste it, copy it actually. And once you copy it, you go inside your router. And within your router, you assign this IP address, whatever IP address you want to assign to your server, to this MAC address. So basically that means if your machine reboots and starts talking to your router, and the router says, hey, you're this MAC address, you should get this IP address. Bam. That's another way that you could do it. For me, I like doing it the geeky way. I like going inside the interface file and just assigning it this way. But I think for home people, definitely use the MAC address, because I'm going to show you guys how to configure the automatic updates, and you definitely want your home server to have updates, and that's going to reboot. And there's always the chance that when the reboot occurs, you might lose that IP address. But if you assign that MAC address of your home server to that IP address that you want for your home server, it's always going to be there. Okay. I gave you guys the command IPA. Now, like I said, I'm already inside of my home server using SSH. You definitely need to disable the root access. You do not want root access. You're probably saying to yourself, why not have root access enabled? It's at home. No, again, best practice. Practice it as much as possible, because you get used to it. So you definitely want to disable the root access. Now, to disable it, you need to get into the sshad_config. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to do is sudo. Let me clear this out for you guys. And we're going to do sudo nano sshad and config. There it goes. Now, we need to locate permit root login. Okay, so let's zoom in, and we need to set that to no. If we go all the way right here, so by default, Ubuntu assigns prohibit password. So root account is able to remote into this machine if it has the password. You don't want that. So let's say no. No. There you go. No, you definitely don't want root to have access to this machine to remote into it at all. Okay. And I'm going to do a Control X, hit Y, and hit yes. Awesome. So that's saved. So because we made changes within the SSHD config file, we need to restart it. So what you need to do is a sudo system ctl restart SSH. Awesome. And from here, we're going to do sudo system, and we're going to do a status. We're going to check the status SSH. So now it's running. I'm going to exit out of this because it will affect me eventually. And I'm going to establish the connection again. Provide my password. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Now, if you want to get really funky into it and you want to customize how this stuff looks, I gave you guys a link that allows you to customize your batch prompt. So we're going to click on this link, and it's pretty cool. And we're going to do it live. So I'm going to do, by default, your prompt looks like this. You got your name, at, the name of the host, the colon, the shell, and all that stuff. So let's say I want to change this. By default, it's all white. I want to give it a little bit of color. So let's say this is the username, right? We need the at symbol, so let's do extra at. Basic element. This is going to be what, the host name, right? Host name. And extra character, we're going to do the colon. And I think this is yep, path to directory. And then we need to do, what is it? Dun, dun. I think we need to do the shell. Wait, oh wait, this is not what I wanted. So delete that, and we want that. Okay, boom, boom, boom. That's what we want. So let's change the color. Let's say I want this to be green. I want this to be green as well. Let's make all this green. All green. Let's make this, this is green. How about this? Let's make this green. I want the current path to be yellow, and I want my $sign to be red. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. Okay, so what we need to do is copy this entire thing right here. Let's copy this. Hopefully you guys are able to see it. So I'm going to copy this entire thing. Boom, boom, awesome. I'm gonna go back into my notes, and we need to import this guy as should be, not export, import this guy into the nano home batch RC. So within here, I'm going to do is sudo nano, and going to do is wiggly bracket or tilde, boom, boom, batch RC, and we're going to provide the password. Awesome. And then from there, I'm going to go all the way in the bottom. I'm going all the way in the bottom. And I'm going to do is, oops, sorry. No. I forgot. Wait a minute. I knew that was going to happen. Wait a minute. Boop. And hit no. I know what I did. I can't copy and paste this stuff over because of the virtual machine. No worries. Let's do it one more time. So let's do easy. Get out of here. Let's go easy prompt. Awesome. And we're going to do home. I'm going to do real quick at host colon path $. Excellent. This right here is going to be green, 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 green 2. Let's make this yellow, and I want this red. Now we're able to highlight all this. Good. And let's minimize this. And I'm inside the file. Let's go all the way down to the file. There we go. And now I'm able to paste it. Awesome. So what we're going to do is a Control X, a Y, and hit enter to save it. Awesome. So the changes won't happen right away. And so what I'm going to do is exit out of it. Let's establish the command prompt again. All right. If everything works well, we should see our beautiful command prompt. Look at that. Sweet. I mean, it's pretty nerdy, but if you want to, if you want to customize it to look kind of, cool looking, it's up to you. Again, the link is at the Google Doc, so you could do whatever you want. It's just showing you guys how to customize it, and it's actually export, because that's the command, export and blah. Okay, so ways to upload files to your server. There's a lot of ways to upload. You could do FileZilla, which I like to use the most, or you could do wget. Now, the wget command is normally used if you have a particular file or video file located within the internet world, and you have an HTTP or HTTPS link that allows you to upload it to your server. For me, I have FileZilla, and that's what we're going to use today. Now, because you have SSH enabled by default, FileZilla should work with no problem. So I'm going to open up FileZilla, and I'm going to add the IP address of my server right here, and I'm going to do BTNHD, and I'm going to provide the password. And within FileZilla, make sure you add the port of 22. If everything works well, it should connect, and I should see my home folder. Awesome sauce. How cool is that? If I want to add a particular file, let's say I have a couple of video files right here, Plex files or Plex folders or whatever, right here. Let's drag and drop it in here. And let's also drag and drop that one in there as well. So right now it is uploading 2 video files, 2 MP4 files into my home directory using FileZilla. So again, if you install Open SSH Server within your, during the installation of your Linux platform, you should do this automatically. Just gotta make sure you tell it port 22, the IP address, the username, and the password. So you're probably saying to yourself, did that really happen? So let's try it out. Let's go to PuTTY, and within PuTTY, I'm gonna do ls. Boom, and there goes the 2 files. Let me zoom in. There goes the 2 files. So those 2 files were dropped in the root of my home folder. Awesome sauce. Okay, so that's one way that you could put stuff within your server. But if you want to listen and view connected ports, this is another cool little command, SS, which is socket statistics. SS, let's clear this up real quick. And if you do SS and hit enter, it gives you a nice little rundown of all the open ports. Now, I have a lot of open ports, and the reason why is because 1, I have FileZilla attached to it. 2, I have a PuTTY session attached to it. And if you look closely, you see all the SSH establishments right there, and all the ports that are enabled, and all the IP addresses that are connected to it. So if you ever want to know who's connected to your network or within your Linux platform, just do a SS command, and it will give you that information. So let's clear that out. Okay. So next thing on our list, if you want to break it down, if you do a SS-ant, which A is for all connections, port number, and T is for TCP sockets. Excuse me. From here, it gives you a nice little shortcut. It's better than, it's definitely better than this. It's definitely better than this. So if you do SS-ant, it's real short and simple. So let's do it one more time. Let's clear that out. There it goes. Really, really short and simple. Look at that. Couple of lines. So I have I have 2 established connections. One is the FileZilla, and one is the PuTTY, and it tells me that port 22 is open because SSH needs that port open, right? Now, storage. How in the hell can you install storage within your physical machine? Now, because I'm using a virtual machine, I might have to restart the virtual machine for it to grab the thing. You might have to do the same thing within your physical machine. When you plug and play an external hard drive using USB, you might have to reboot the Linux server for it to recognize that external hard drive. Now, if you want a listing of all the machines, which I'm going to show you, you could do is, you don't have to do sudo. Sudo is if you're going to make any modifications. I'm so used to typing every time sudo. You do fdis with a -L, and let's give the password. There it goes, and we'll zoom in. So if we look at it closely, we only have one partition, and is SDA, which is the 60 gig, is the one that we use during our installation. This is where the operating system, and it created other partitions. Created SDA1, 2, 5, Linux, the extended, and the Linux LVM. Okay, we don't have another hard drive, and then we have the swap right here. And then we have the This right here is the VG root. Okay, so we need to get another storage. We need another hard drive to drop our files in, because right now when I drop those 2 files, it dropped it on my primary hard drive. I don't want that. So what we're going to do is, within my virtual environment, I'm going to go to VM, and I'm going to edit the settings, and I'm going to add, and I'm going to do is a hard disk, next, and let's give it 100 gigs. Hit next, and let's hit next and finish, and okay. Awesome. So if we look right now, it looks like it's adding, it's reconfiguring the virtual machine, and it's completed. That's always a good thing. Let's go back into it's my home server, but let's go back into my Windows environment, because that's what we're using right now. Now if I go back here, let's clear this out, and let's do is fdisk. Let's do an fdisk command. Where's the hard drive? I only see SDA, and it's partitions. Where is it? I don't know. Okay, so if this happens to you, most likely within a physical environment, you might have to restart your machine. So I'm going to do a sudo, and I'm going to do a shutdown -R now. I'm going to lose the connection, which is okay. I'm going to close that up. So let's go back in here, and look, it's restarting because I told it to restart now. And you need to restart your physical machine for that USB to be recognized within your Linux operating system. Within a virtual environment is the same thing. If you add a virtual hard disk, you need to restart your virtual machine for it to recognize it. So let's establish that connection again. Awesome. Let's get in there. And check this out. Because I restarted my machine, boom, I still have the customized prompt still there. Awesome. So what we need to do is a sudo fdisk nl, and let's put the password. And if we look closely, where is it? Where I added it, right? I know I added it. Should say SDB. Oh, I'm going crazy right now. Restarted it. I added it. Let me see something real quick. Let me zoom out of this real quick. All right. Let's take a look. Yeah, it should be there. Or I'm overlooking it. Am I overlooking it? Let me see. Let's clear that out. And let's do a command of ls dev sd. Oh, what happened to my B? Did it create the virtual machine? I mean, did it create the hard disk? Yeah, it's like right there. Why didn't it create the hard disk? Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's a weird one. Oh! You know what happened? Silly, silly me. I did not create the virtual machine. I did not create the hard disk within the home server. Crap. My backs. I did it within this machine. Silly, silly me. Oh, man. All right, so let's do this again. All right. Yeah, so let's create the hard disk right here. Boom. Next. Definitely, let's give it 100. Let's give it 100 gigs. All right. We're going to finish. Excellent. Boom. Now it's configuring the home server. I didn't pick that up. I was configuring the WSUB server, not the home server. Holy moly. Let's see if I could do a really quick edit on that. I don't really need that anyway. Remove that. Yeah, I don't really need that. I think it's processing. Okay, cool. Now I'm able to do a sudo shutdown R now. Before I hit enter, let's bring this guy up, and I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, it's gonna lose connection. As you guys see right here, it's restarting. Let it restart itself. Oh, That's crazy. I gave the extra external hard drive to the wrong virtual machine. I should have gave it to this one. That's the reason why we couldn't see our new hard drive. What's going on? What's going on? Probably a lot of you guys might have picked that up during the chat, but I'm not really viewing the chat stuff right now, and I do apologize for that. Sorry, guys. This is my son. I want to show you guys my son. I got my little boy with me today. You guys can see him. Got my little boy with me, doing a live stream with me. All right, so we're gonna start the connection again. Beautiful, awesome, and let's full screen this. I'm gonna zoom in. Let me clear this out for you guys. Awesome. So now let's do a sudo fdisk. And you're probably saying to yourself, why do you do sudo all the time? It's a bad habit of mine. I like doing it. Okay, sue me. Hit enter. I'm gonna give my password. Boom. Now we should see SDB 100 gigs. A new hard drive, a new logical or physical hard drive has been found. Awesome. But we can't really do anything as of yet. We need to partition it. We need to create a file system. Okay. And within the Google Docs, I gave you guys the master blueprint of everything. All right. Just got to follow these commands and you would get everything done. Okay. So first things first, what you need to do is do the fdisk command on the particular partition. So that the reason why I'm doing fdisk command is because the fdisk command is going to give me the path of that new partition. That external hard drive that you plugged and play into your Linux home server and you rebooted that machine. When you do a fdisk -L, not a 1, -L is going to list everything. You want to grab that new partition. All right, and the path is going to be /dev/sdb. So what I'm going to do is a command of sudo fdisk dev sdb. Okay, and we're going to hit enter. When you hit enter, this is what's going to happen. When you hit enter, the following. M is for help. If you hit M, N gives you the breakdown of all the commands. Okay, that's what M does. It's just a help menu. P prints out what's happening. P gives you information of the partition that you picked. Remember, we did sudo fdisk dev sdb. That's what we just did within the command prompt. So print basically prints out the information of this partition. Now we need to delete the partition. Now we don't have a partition. This is a brand new partition. So when you hit D within the command prompt and hit enter, you're going to get error. Why? Because there's no partition there. I like to just hit D just regardless, just to make sure. Now G is to create a GPT partition table. Okay, so there's other types of partition tables that you could create. You could do a GPT, SGI, DOS, Sun partition. For me, I'm going to do a G. Hit enter. Bam. Done. Next thing you need to do is create a new partition, and that's N for Nancy. Hit enter. From here, you can modify the partition number and do whatever you want, but because it's that first one, most likely you want it to be the default, which is 1. Hit enter. The default sector value, leave it as 2048. Hit enter. And the default last sector, again, leave it as the default. You don't really need to make any changes. You're almost done. Hit P to print. When you hit P, you're automatically going to see something new. You're going to see that new partition that we created. Now it's going to be called SDB1. But you're not done. You need to finalize it. You have to hit W, hit enter to write the partition. The partition, and I'm going to zoom in for you guys. And it says, the partition table has been altered, collecting blah to reread partition table, synchronizing disk. Okay, that's what R command. Now, it really depends on what operating system you choose. But for me, I pick Ubuntu. And this is the commands that you have to do. Now that you created the file, now that you created the partition, you need to create the file system. And this is the command to create the file system. Sudo make file system.ext4 and the path of your new partition. Make sure you do that. The path of your new partition. This is the new file. This is your new path partition right here. The new partition path. Sorry, went blank. So I'm going to clear this out for you guys. And I'm going to do sudo mkfs make file system.ext4 space dev, and it's going to be sdb1. Hit enter. Awesome. Give it some time. Give it some time. It's writing the super blocks and file system accounting information, and it is done. Awesome. Now we need to mount this partition. Again, the notes are there. This is your holy grail. This is your step-by-step. I'm just showing you guys that it does work live. So now we need to do is we need to mount the partition, because we created the partition, but we need to redirect this partition to somewhere for us to drop stuff into it. So let's create a folder. You could create a folder anywhere. So I don't want to play any tricks. I don't want to play any tricks on you guys. So I'm going to do a CD. Oops, sorry. I want to go inside here. I want to do is a CD mount. I want to get inside the mount directory, and I want to do ls. There's nothing in here, and I want to show you guys there's no tricks. So what I'm going to do is a sudo mkdir, which is make directory, and it's going to be inside mount, and it's going to be called storage, and hit enter. Now, if I do ls, we got a new folder called storage. Now we need to mount the new partition path that we created. Remember, the partition path is this guy right here, dev sdb1, and we need to point it to the new folder that we created within the mount folder. So to do that, we're going to do sudo mount, and it's going to be dev sdb1, and it's going to go point it to mount storage, and hit enter. Oh, wait. Did I write it right? It's one of the things that I do a lot. I spell storage wrong, and hit enter. Now you're good to go. Now, if you want to see if the connection is established, if you run this particular command right here, df space -h, let's zoom in so you guys can see right there. This is our new partition that we created together, and this guy is pointing and mounted on our new folder that we created called storage within the mount folder. Cool. Now, there's a problem with this, and the problem is what happens if your machine is getting updates and it restarts. Your mount is going to dismount, and that means you have to go back inside your machine, your physical machine, your home server, to mount it again. You have to do these commands again. We don't want that. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how to do that, but we need to set a couple of permissions. So because this is a home server, you could basically give it read and write access to everyone. So I'm going to set the permissions to this particular path, and I'm going to do a sudo change mode ugo plus rw, and we're going to go to that new folder, hit enter. Awesome. Now I'm going to do test permissions, and you could basically do test touch mount whatever. So this right here will allow me to test the permissions if I'm able to make modifications. And again, I'm going to test that out. I'm going to do cd storage. Did I spell it wrong again? cd. There it goes. Clear that out, and I'm do ls. Okay, nothing in there, just a lost and found. That's automatically created within the Linux platform. So I'm going to do touch mount and storage tests. If I do ls, boom, created a test. So the permissions are set correctly. I'm able to modify. Now, the other thing that we need to do is, like I said earlier, what happens if your machine restarts because of updates? Your mount is going to dismount. So that means you have to go back into the command prompt and remount it again. We don't want that. So the best way to do that is we need to update our fstab, our file system table. So we need to locate our UUID for our storage device. Now to do that, you're going to run this command right here, which will give you the block ID. So I'm going to do is a sudo, I'm going to do sudo blkid, and we need to locate our partition. Now, remember, that partition path is really important because you're going to be using it throughout this entire process. So locate that partition as SDB1, and we're going to basically copy all this right here. Boom. That's what we want. Okay. Highlight, copy. Awesome. Let's zoom out. And next thing that we need to do is we need to modify the fstab, the file system table. So from here, I'm going to do sudo nano etc and fstab, hit enter, and there we go. So what you want to do is go all the way in the bottom right here at the very end of the file, and we're going to right click on it to paste. And for this to work, you got to make sure you do it correctly. So let me zoom in for you guys a little bit. There you go. And you don't need the question marks. And make sure there's no space. Excellent. So you got to tell it, what is this UUID for? It's pointing to something. So it's pointing basically to the following. It's pointing to the mount storage. This UUID, this unique identifier, which is your external hard drive, is going to always point to this particular path within your Linux platform. So it's going to point for us mount storage. So from here, mount, and you got to spell it right too. I always have a problem spelling stuff wrong. Mount storage, and the type is going to be ext4. You definitely want to do default and 0, 0. Okay. Zoom out of that. And I'm just double checking my notes because I have a habit of typing the wrong thing. And once all that's done, we are going to do X, hit yes, hit enter, and it is saved. Now, the test for this, I'm going to clear this out, is I'm going to do sudo unmount, or umount, and we're going to pick that path. Sudo umount, some cases using it. Okay. I think it's still busy. Oh, wait. Because I'm on it. Now we could do it. So let's do that. Now we could do it because I was on the directory. That's the reason why I got that. So you got to get off the directory. So do a sudo unmount and mount storage. It's unmounted. Now if I do dfh, it's not there. So what happens, let's say if the machine reboots. If it reboots, most likely it's going to mount it again. So if I don't want to restart the machine. So if I do a sudo mount -a for automatically, boom, and I do a df space -h, there goes our partition. It automatically mounted. Boom. So now we don't have to worry. So if our home server, our home Linux server has been rebooted because of updates, we don't have to worry about our external hard drive dropping off because it's automatically going to be mounted when it restarts. Awesome sauce. Cool. Next thing that you need to do is updates and maintenance. So these are the commands that you need to do updates and maintenance, and also to reconfigure the upgrade. So I know this is going to take a while, but I know this show is going to be a while. So we're going to do a sudo update, and it's going to do a process. Let me see how long it takes. It's going to take a while. And then we're going to take care of the firewall, because believe it or not, within Ubuntu, the Linux operating system, the firewall is disabled, which I'm going to go over. So we did the update, and what we're going to do is a sudo app upgrade. We want to make sure that your home server is fully upgradable. You want all the patches. You want everything. So right now it's doing this thing. Excellent. I don't know how long that's going to take. And once that's done, we are going to configure auto updates, because during the installation I did not configure the auto, the updates to be automatic. You could do it during the installation process, but I didn't do it because I wanted to show you guys how to do it manually, because there's a good chance that a lot of us normally don't pick auto updates because, again, it's like it's Windows home server. You don't want to do it. But again, if your home server has to grab patches, you need to patch it up. It's best practice to patch it up, right? All right, so let's see. Let's go inside. While that's updating, let's check out some of the guys, what you guys are talking about. Who's online? Who's in the chat? Hello, Ram. How you doing? From Toronto. Ram says, anybody deploy the Windows 10 Enterprise using Autopilot for Azure? I've been playing around with that. I haven't fully taken my time to sit down and like soak in the knowledge of that. I've been playing around, reading a lot of documents within the TechNet site, but I haven't really like put my full 100% attention to it. I mean, if I could get something out for you guys once I got it, I got it working successfully, and if I have any problems, I'll definitely give you the heads up during my video. What's up? Oh, you gotta give me 1 sec, okay? All right, so who else we got? We sap. Does this is the Linux installation where is I don't understand that. Spoons, I'm sorry. We have Lucas. Hello, Red Hat. Oh, he has Red Hat and CentOS. Ooh, CentOS is such a great operating system. Awesome. Who else? Hey. Awesome. Hello from UK. I love this guy, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm not going to try to say your guys' names because I don't want to kill it. But I do appreciate you guys chatting, keeping it kosher. We have one person have a question, and that's how do you configure 2 interfaces, one for private internal network and public internet NIC, and have only one public NIC for the internet connection. Now, Rafe Worth, are you talking about Windows operating system or a Linux operating system? Which operating system are you talking about? Hopefully one of you guys can help him out. Dave G says you can refresh the SCSI list instead of restarting. Oh, that's, yep. Look in the LS block. And then Dave G says echo. See, I'm super happy that I have a lot of you guys here that are Linux gurus. I love Linux. I know Linux. I'm not gonna say like I'm a grandmaster of Linux. I am like a trainee with Linux. I know how to get myself around it. I know a couple of you guys on the live stream are like masters of the Linux platform world, and I love that you guys are chatting and giving me advice because I definitely would. I'm definitely learning from you guys. So thank you so much for that. All right. So right now we're still on 92%, 95 right now. What's up? All right, gotta give me 1 sec, okay? Right now it's 97. It's almost done. We're going to look at this guy right here. 99% is almost done. The next thing that we're going to do, because we got a lot to do. We got a lot to do, and I'm trying to tackle everything with you guys today. So today is gonna be a long show, but we're gonna get through it. So right now what we did was we established an update command. We did an upgrade command. Right now it's at 99%. It's almost done. A lot of updates. It's best practice to push out all the updates. And the next thing that we're going to do is install the unintended upgrades. So right now upgrades is done. So I'm going to clear that up, and I'm going to do a sudo app install unintended upgrades. Oh, wait a minute. Spell install wrong. That's not good. Now we could do it. Excellent. Pretty fast. Next thing that we need to do is this command right here, sudo, and dpkg reconfigure, because we're reconfiguring the way that our server is going to be handling our updates. And we're going to do unintended upgrades. Hopefully I typed that right. If everything goes well, this is what you're going to see. Beautiful. Look at that. So again, by default, during my installation of the operating system, I told it no, but I want to hit yes and leave this as the default. Hit OK. Done. That's it. You just modified your auto updates to automatically update. Now, like I said earlier, your firewall is disabled by default. So if I do a sudo ufw status, oh yeah, status is inactive. What's going on? Firewall is it's disabled by default. It is best practice to enable this, but big but, before you enable your firewall, make sure you allow port 22, because if you don't allow port 22, what's going to happen is you're going to get dropped off from your SSH connection, and you're not going to be able to get into your SSH at all. Okay, so we definitely need to do a sudo. Let me shrink this down, because again, I always forget everything. So sudo, we're going to do ufw allow 22 TCP, hit enter. Awesome. Now we're able to enable it. So let's do sudo ufw enable, and definitely hit yes. Firewall is active. And then if I do a couple of arrows up, sudo ufw status, it's enabled, and now port 22 is enabled and it's allowed. So I'm going to exit out of this, because I don't want any problems. I've had problems before. It's always best if when you enable your firewall, before you even enable your firewall, make sure you allow port 22, enable your firewall, and then restart your session to make sure everything is working properly. So that's what I'm going to do. Beautiful, excellent. Now we're in it. Now, next thing that we need to do is install Samba, because I say this home server that you have at home, you want to store files into it. So we need to install Samba. Don't get me wrong, I could have installed Samba during the installation process, but I didn't. That's, you could do it that way, but I like to do it the geeky way, because, I like the commands. So from here, I'm going to do is sudo mkdir. And I'm going to create within the storage, because this is where this is where we've been doing everything. I'm going to create a folder called shared. Hit enter. Give it the password. Excellent. Awesome. Now from here, we need to give this shared permissions. We're going to give it 777, so we're going to open it up. And we're going to do sudo change mod 777, and it's going to be mount storage shared. We're going to open up those permissions all the way up, and we created a folder, and this is where we're going to be dropping all our files into. Okay, so I'm thinking real quick. Oh, okay, so let's do ls. Remember those two files that we had, ls dash there? Right? Let's move these files over to this shared folder. Check this out. So let's do a sudo mv. I think, trying to think right now. Boom, 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 mp4 to, I think this is the command. No, wait a minute. Dun, 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 dun. Think. Trying to think. I think this is it. Move. Okay, cool. So now if I do that, where are the files? So they moved. Awesome. Awesome sauce. So if I do a CD and I mount to storage those two files, I go to shared, I do a ls-l. ls gives you a list of the directory. L gives you a nice little breakdown of the permissions and who did what, the size of it, and the date. And those two files that were inside our root folder are now dropped inside our share folder that we just created. Beautiful. So let's clear this out of here. And let's install Samba. So let's do sudo apt install Samba. So that's installed. And we're going to hit a big Y for the yes because we want it to install. Awesome sauce. And next thing that we need to do is configure our smb.config file. So the installation should be fast. I'm hoping it's pretty fast. I'm going to try to go as fast as possible for you guys because it is already 2:10 p.m. But we're touching base with a lot of things today. And I'm hopefully you guys enjoy it, appreciate it, show some love. Don't forget about hitting that like button. If you do need to leave, do not worry. The video will be archived, and at the channel I will do the timestamps and all that good stuff. So our Samba is installed. So from here, I'm going to clear this out. Next thing that we need to do is configure our Samba. So we need to do is a sudo nano, because we need to establish a connection. We like right now we have folders, but our folders are not distributed out as of yet. It's like a file share server, like Windows file share. You create a folder, you right click on it, you go to properties. I think you go inside sharing, you share it out, you give the permissions. This is what we're doing right now within the Linux platform. So we're doing to do this within the Linux world, you have to do everything this way. If you're doing it on a desktop, okay, you're cheating. You're not really a Linux person. You got to do everything within the command prompt. So let's hit enter, and you're going to see all this right here. This is all goodness. But I'm not going to waste any time going over it. I'm going to go all the way to the very bottom because we're going to create our first network share. So I'm going to drop it right here. So let's go all the way to the end, and I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to do is open the bracket, and we're going to call this file share. So you could give it whatever name you want. So whatever you put inside this bracket is going to be the actual name of the folder that's going to be shared out. So I want to show you guys something. So let's go to fitness, and this is my Windows platform. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to go to run, and this is the IP address of my server. Right? So let's press OK. And right now, nothing should pop up because nothing's being really shared. I have no permissions. Nothing's being shared out at all. This is going to time out eventually. Okay? But we're going to make that IP address active to the point that I'm able to log into my file share and see that folder. So from here, we are going to do the following. We need to add a comment. You don't really need to add a comment, but I think it's kind of best practice to enter a comment. So comment, and this is going to be shared files, and this is the path. Now you need to point it to a path. Now the path is going to be pointed to the folder that we created within our external hard drive, but for me, my virtual hard drive. So it's going to be the mount storage shared. Excellent. Now we need to give it permissions. So the permission is going to be read only. We're going to set it to no. And we're going to create a mask of 0777. And we need to create a directory mask. I got to make sure I do everything right because I have a habit of typing things wrong. And we're going to give it 77. I'm going to open it up. And that's it. Done. So I'm going to make sure everything is correct. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is Control X, a big Y for yes to save it. And if you want to test out your SMB config file, you could do the following. You're going to do test parm. So test parm. And if everything works well and you modify that particular file correctly, you're going to get this. Processing section, okay. Bam, that's all awesome. Hit enter, and it gives you a nice little overview of everything within that file. Excellent. So because I made modifications, you need to do is restart the Samba. So you're going to do a sudo system stl restart smbd. Excellent. And let's check the status of it. If you want to check the status, sudo s system stl, just add status smdb, and it's active and running. Great. So we need now to create access to that Samba. Okay. The username and password that you use within your Linux operating system is not the same that you're going to use within Samba. So it's different. You could use the same username, but you could provide a different password. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grant access to the Samba to my username. So to do that, we're going to do is sudo smb pass wd a and BTNHD, and let's provide it a password. Oh, crap. Oh, let's do that again. Unable to change it. Let's do it again. I hit the tab key by mistake. There it goes. Now, done. If you need to create another person, let's create another person. So let's create another user. I'm going to do sudo user add. Let's call it YouTube. Excellent. Sudo pass wd. Now, pass wd YouTube is going to be the password for the whatchamacallit? Oh, I spelled sudo wrong. It's going to be the password for the user logging into the Linux machine. Okay, see, it says enter new Unix password. So this user right here is allowed to get into my Linux server, but I want this person to also have access to my Samba. So you need to do a sudo smb pass wd a YouTube and give it a password. All right, give me 1 sec. Okay. All right. So our Samba is up to running. We created a user account. We gave it a password. We gave it a password for the Linux environment, and we also gave it a Samba password. So now we have BTNHD and YouTube, 2 accounts that are able to get into the Samba server and also within the Linux platform. So for this to all work, we need to configure our firewall so you're able to access Samba. So we're going to do sudo. Let's clear this up so you guys can take a better look. We're going to do sudo ufw allow 139 TCP. That's one. And the other one is sudo ufw allow 445 TCP. And there you go. Awesome sauce. Now, I think that's okay. That's okay. I think if I do it again, there it goes. Now, I did not request the username and password because, again, when I did the right click and I did run, the username and the address was already there. If I double click on file share, bam, there goes our files that we moved within the command prompt. Ah, how awesome is that? All right. Again, this document is going to be provided during the show, so do not worry. So the next things that we need to do is, let's say you want for me, this is what I like to do at home, is my Linux server, I like to use it as a video server, a media server. So to do that, I like to use Plex. So I'm going to do is support plex.tv. And on the search, you want to do is repo. Type in repo. And you want to find the one that says enable repository updating for supported Linux server distribution. All right, let me see. All right, give me 1 sec. 1 sec, pa. All right, I got to make this quick. All right, so we're going to enable that. You're going to find your Linux operating system. You're gonna find your Linux operating system. Sorry, guys. It's hard doing a live stream and doing videos when your son is here. It's hard. You're gonna find your operating system of your choice. For that individual that says CentOS, CentOS is there. For us, it's going to be Ubuntu. So I am going to just copy this entire path right here, and I'm just going to paste it. Boom, that's done. And the next thing that we need to do is this guy right here. I'm going to copy it, and we're going to paste it, and it's going to do its thing. Once that's completed, we're going to do a sudo app update, and we're going to install the Plex media server. So once those two things are done, we need to do a sudo app update. Okay. Yeah, you go. And then the next one is sudo app install. So right now I'm going to be fast pacing it because my son is hungry. I got to feed my son. So I do apologize for the rush. So the next command that we're going to do is sudo app install Plex media server. We're going to hit enter on that part right there because we need to install the media server. So it's going to start installing. Next thing that we need to do once that installs, we need to do is check out the status of it. Then plus enable access to our Plex media server. So hopefully it installs quick for me. It always takes this sweet time. Like, come on. All right. Let's see if we could go inside the chat real quick. See if you guys have any questions while that's doing this thing. Okay, so Lucas, yeah, like I said, the notes are going to be provided at the end of the show, so do not worry. I will have all that stuff. You have a habit of saying that you have a bad habit. Yes, I do. I have a lot of bad habits. I do apologize for that, guys. All right, it's kicking in, it's starting. Come on, baby. It's doing this thing. I still have 12 strong individuals watching. Thank you so much. I know we're going over the 1 hour limit, but it's just so much. There's so much to do for today's show. It is crazy. So let's go back. Right now we're at 79%. It's still doing its thing. 79%. Come on, baby. Finish up for me. All right, come on. Come on, it's just that one little 70 is 107 megabytes to 108 megabytes. It's just that 2%. Come on. What you doing to me? Come on. Come on, are you serious? This is really happening right now? Oh my gosh. It's like that 2%. They don't want to give me that 2%. Like, come on, give me that 2%. I need that 2%. Come on, people. All right, we're gonna try to finish it today. We're gonna really try to finish it today. I really want to finish it today because we still got, like, if we look at the notes and stuff. If we look at the notes, okay, it's done. I think it's done. Awesome. All right, so within the notes, and let me shrink this down a little bit. So we did this. We did this. We need to check the status of it. So what we're going to do is a sudo system STL status. Plex Media Server, hit enter. The Plex service loaded, not found, reason no such directory. What? Did I type it right? Less than 10. Oh, okay, it failed. All right, so we gotta run that again. Plex Media Server. It looks like the connection was too slow and it failed on us. Because if you look at the error right here, it says failed to fetch HTTPS download Plex, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now it's working. Yes. Thank you. But come on. Yes, yes. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. See, this command is great right here because it tells you the status, no good. I just had to look into the error because the error was the connection was too slow. It was too slow to retrieve the download. And I don't know how that can happen. Oh, so from here it says I'm going to hit the default of enter, of no for the default. And done. Awesome. So let's clear that out. I'm going to hit the arrow key a couple of times. And we're going to do the status. Now it is running. So to manage your Plex media server, you do it through the web. So this is the web. It has to be the IP address of your server. And the port number is 32400. Now, you got to understand, we have a firewall within our Linux home server. So we have to make sure that we allow 32400 to be accessed. So I'm going to do is sudo ufw allow 32400 TCP. There you go. Awesome. Now, so let's open up Chrome. Open up a browser, and we're going to do 192.168.168, and 11. There you go. I already have it on my browser, so I'm going to hit enter. Great. And let's expand this guy. So I was already signed in, and I'm going to sign in. Awesome. It cached my password. I don't like that. Got it. This is like the basic stuff. It's going to go over and set up your server. You are able to pick the media library or your video files. Again, I moved those 2 video files that I had in my root inside that shared folder. So that's what I'm going to tell my Plex server to locate those video files for us. Right now it is waiting. It's like, wait, please wait a moment while the Plex starts. So we're going to give it some time for it to do its thing. All right. Refresh. Like, you're taking so long. All right, yeah, I got it. There it goes. We're definitely going to take advantage of the free stuff, but you could do, you could pay for this. I'm not paying for this. For me, when I was testing this out within a virtual environment, when I hit next, definitely don't want to allow access to the media server outside from home. You could, but most likely you might have to do port forwarding within your router if you want to access your Linux home server and the Plex server outside of your network. That's really up to you. When I hit next, it kind of errored out for me, so I'm going to skip this part. I'm just going to go straight to the media library. Clicking on it. It's taking its sweet time. See, this is the problem that I get. It's okay. So I'm gonna go straight to the media library and see if it takes me to the media library. There it goes. From here, I'm gonna add library, and I want to add movies because it's movies. You can give it whatever name you want. Hit next and add the folder. So browse. When you hit browse, folder is actually pointing or going within your Linux platform. So with us, we need to pick the following. We need to pick. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? There it goes. Storage, shared, And those video files, look at the 2 video files here. This is the path that I want it to pick, because this is where I'm going to be dropping all my videos. So let's click add. We're going to add that to the library. It's matching, is adding. We're going to click on next, and we're going to hit done, and we're going to see our 2 video files. Awesome. And then from here, you're able to play it. So I'm able to click on it and play on, play one of our files. And let's see if it loads up. I think it's still processing it. And there goes one of our files. How awesome is that? What's up? All right. Got my little assistant waiting for me. All right, so I'm going to close that up. So we took care of our Plex. So that's how you create a video home server. So that's awesome. Really simple. Again, all the notes will be provided at the end of the show. Another thing that you probably want to do is name resolution. I've been using a lot the IP address, but what happens, I want to use the host name. There's a couple of ways to do this. One, you could go to each physical machine in your house and configure the host file. If you have Linux machines, you can configure the host file to point to whatever IP address and then the name. Okay, you could do that. That's up to you. You could also have a DNS server within your infrastructure. For me, I have a DNS server, so that means if I do bj-home server and I do, what is it, 324.0.0, what is it, web, my DNS should pick it up. It's not picking it up, but it should pick it up. But yeah, 324.0.0. Yeah, so my DNS, I have to fix up my DNS. My DNS server is not picking up that. But basically, my DNS server, I will go inside here. I got to see if, let me open this guy. Let's go to my DNS server real quick. And DNS manager. And what I have to do, well, if you have a DNS server, you're able to create a host BJ home server, and the IP address would be this. Okay, and add. Done. Home server 110. Cool. So if I go back into this, I don't know if it's gonna happen right away. Let's see if it happens right away. I don't know if it's gonna happen right away. It's probably going to take some sweet time, but I think if I do a run command, I do a ping bj home server, it should point to 110. So eventually it's gonna do its thing. It's just taking a sweet time to do it, but that host is pointing to that. But with the notes, if you can't do a DNS, you can also do is your home Linux server. You can install the DNS mask, feature, and have a DNS server within your Linux platform. This is how you do it. I'm not going to do it now because I already have everything configured within my Active Directory, so I'm not going to do that. This right here, you can test it out from your home. Now, if you want to monitor your server, because there's not really a great GUI to monitor, there's a Cockpit project, which I gave you the link right here, and it's pretty cool. Like, try it. If you do try, you pick your operating system, you do Ubuntu. This is how you install it. Don't really need to do much. So I'm going to just do the command to install it so I can show you guys, because I was testing everything out and I like how it runs. It gives you a rundown on the memory, hard drive space. You're able to do a couple, I think, partitions and all that stuff. So we're going to do a sudo app get install Cockpit, hit enter. And hit big Y for yes to install it. And we're going to close this up. Again, this information is all provided during the Google Doc. So it's like it's there for you to copy and paste and test it out. So once that's done, we need to enable it. And once we enable it, we definitely need to tell our firewall to allow 9090, because 9090 is the port that it needs to start talking outside. Installation is pretty fast. Come on, baby. 76%. We're almost done. My son is about to strangle me. He's gonna kill me. I'm telling you, he's gonna kill me, guys. I know you guys are there strong. Thank you so much for bearing with with me. I appreciate the support for being there. Still, damn, 14 people. Wow. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Okay, we have a couple people said, all right, so we have a couple people said Pirate Windows Server 2016. No, we don't deal with that stuff here. Alex Lopez says 32400 Plex. Yeah, the 32400 for the Plex. When I did research, that's basically what it points to. The Plex.tv, that's the port that it basically stated within the support stuff. I don't know. It's probably changed, but for what I've seen so far, 32400 is what worked for the Plex. Dave G say IP address can't be found or wrong port. Force Alex Lopez says force it with DNS flush IP config flush DNS. Yeah, that's I could do that. You know, I don't mind doing that. Real quick, I should have done that, right? Flush DNS. All right, and this the the monitor module is still doing its thing. And what's up, little man? I can't stop now. You gotta give me a second. I'm talking to you, little man. Yeah, I am the microphone, so they're hearing what I'm telling you. All right, so let me switch it back because I did the flush. All right, I did listen to you guys. I did the flush. So I did BJ-home, right? Let me zoom in for you guys real quick. Right here. Colon 32400 and web, hit enter. And IP config flush DNS did the trick. If you do not believe me that I did it, I think I closed the command prompt, but I did do it, so it did work. All right, so let's close that up. Let me zoom out of that. So let's I'm gonna close this out because we don't need that. Let's go. Where are you? Close that server up by mistake. There we go. Let's close that up. All right, so the installation is completed, but we need to do a couple of things for this to work properly. We need to enable 9090 because that is the port that Cockpit monitor works. I know it's a weird name. We're going to clear this out, and we're going to do is we need to enable it first. So we're going to do a sudo systemctl enable Cockpit. Awesome. And now we need to do a sudo ufw allow 9090 TCP. Excellent. Cool. So let's open up our Chrome. And because we did the name resolution already, we're going to do is home server. And it's going to be 9090. And we are going to hit enter. Awesome. It's HTTPS. I'm going to hit advance. And I'm going to proceed to it. Cool. So the username and password. Now the username and password is the actual username and password that you use to log into your machine. So for me, it would be BTNHD and the password. Awesome. So this is a pretty cool free feature. I like it a lot. It gives you a rundown CPU, memory, the disk input output, network traffic. This is pretty awesome, right? The operating system model that you have. It's a virtual platform, I'm using VMware. Logs, storage information right here. Look at that, how awesome. Look at our storage right here, the size. Cool little feature, right? It even gives you a terminal. The terminal stuff doesn't give you like a full-blown terminal like a putty session will give you, but, you know, if you need to do a couple commands, you could do it there. And this is the dashboard. It gives you a rundown memory, network. So that's a cool way to monitor your home server. Okay, again, the DNS stuff, if you cannot create a DNS server within your infrastructure, the best thing that you could do is just install a DNS mask. And within DNS mask, you configure the host, You point the IP address to the name of your computer. You restart your networking, and you just basically allowed 53 TCP. Okay, that's your DNS port. I'm not going to go over that stuff because I already have this. But the notes are there for you guys to test it out. So test it out. If you have issues, let me know. I am here. Okay, so we did, I show you guys how to monitor your Linux machine. So what if you want a desktop interface? Now, there's a crap load of different interfaces out there. So I'm not going to tell you this is the best one, this is the worst one. The one that I like to use, because one is small and it's a lightweight interface is the XFCE. Now, if you have a particular desktop interface that you like to use a lot, leave it at the chat. Let me know which one is better, right? So I'm going to install this guy. So let's install this guy because we're almost done. We're almost done, little Bernardo, okay? We're almost done. So we're going to install it. We're going to do a sudo. We're going to do apt install XFCE4 space XFCE4-goodies. We want all the goodies. And there you go. A big Y for yes, because we want that stuff installed. Damn, we're going 2 hours strong. I know, right? So now that we install our desktop interface, how in the hell are we going to see this? We need to do a VNC connection. We need to install a VNC server to remote into our Linux box. All right? To do this, I gave you the commands. Here are all the commands that we need to do to get our stuff set up. And I also installed within my Windows machine, what is it? VNC, a VNC viewer. So I'm going to be using that to connect to our server. So right now it's installing. I think my son is going to drop kick me because the live stream is going long. But again, we're covering so much today. I have to cover all this stuff because this is good stuff. And with the document, I mean, the document's there. It's going to be pushed out. If I do not push out the document today, harass me during the comment sections. Hey, Bernardo, where the hell is this? Where's the document? We need the document. We need it. Feed it to us. Give it to us. Let me know, because sometimes I'm definitely going to forget. Okay, so we're in 86, 97, 3 more %, 99, and come on. We're almost done. Come on. It's always that 1%. And we're done? No, we're not done yet. 99%. It's always that 99%. Look at that. It gets stuck right there. It's still going. It's still going. And yes, we installed it. Awesome. So what I'm going to do, zoom out of that. Let's clear that. Awesome. Let's install our VNC server. So we're going to do a sudo apt install VNC. Actually, not VNC. Sorry. Install tight VNC server. Hit enter. And this should be pretty quick. Dun, 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 dun. Awesome. Next thing that we need to do is just type in VNC server and just follow the command, follow the wizard, because we need to give it a password to, establish the connection. So VNC server, hit enter, give it a password. This password is the password that you're going to be using every time to establish the connection. Would you like to enter a view-only password? I'm going to say no for now, and that's it. We're done. Cool. Now, we install the VNC server. We install a desktop interface. We need to tell our VNC server that when we establish a VNC connection to our Linux box, to automatically start the desktop interface. So to do this, we need to run the following command. We need to get into sudo nano, because that's my Linux editor, tilde /.vnc /x startup. Hit enter. Now we want to add this guy right here, right after the x set root. so we're going to go all the way to the right there, hit enter, and we need to do start XFCE 4 at. That's it. We're going to do X, Y, enter. We saved it. Beautiful. Now, you could change the resolution. So when you establish the connection, you don't want the box to be so small. So we're going to tell our VNC that we want to establish the remote section to always be 1360 by 768. Okay. So to do that, we are going to do, let's clear this out, sudo nano.vnc cr, hit enter, and we're going to do a $ geometric geometric is equal to open quotation 1360 by 768. Excellent. And make sure I spelled it right because I'm a horrible speller. And we are going to do Control X, Y, enter, done. What's up? We're almost done. Go sit down.
I'm gonna show you something.
But I'm doing this. You gotta give me 1 sec. Oh, this guy. So what we're gonna do is we need to restart the services. So VNC Server dash kill :1. It's killing it, and then we need to start it again. VNC Server. Excellent. Good. Now we need to enable a port 5901 because 5901 will allow us to VNC our server. So we're going to do sudo ufw allow 5901/TCP. Boom, done. So Windows clients, there's a bunch of different clients that you could use. I am using VNC Viewer. I could do the host name or the IP address. I'm going to use the IP address. Boom. Let's expand this a little bit. Boom. There it goes. Is establishing it. Connecting to 168.1. That's the IP address, right? I think that's the IP address. Oh, yeah, it is the IP address. Okay. Starting applications, blah, blah, blah. Timed out waiting. What happened? VNC. Let me see something. I gotta. When you think everything is done, startup XFCE4. That's correct. I think VNC-kill. I know I did everything correctly. VNC Server -1. We kill it. Right, that's killing it. And it's all right. That's starting it. All right, good. We allow the port. We allow that port. Great. And we have to establish the connection. It should have worked. 192.168.1.110. Let's see if it does it. I don't think I need to restart. I shouldn't have to restart. Like last time when I did it, it worked out with no problem. Let's see. VNC Server. Oh man, what's going on? What happens if I do? Oh. All right, my mistake. :5901. There you go. Hit continue. The password that you provided to establish the connection. And there you go. Done. Awesome. We are in it. Now you're able to go inside desktop connection and navigate it like a Windows desktop. Done. Just got to make sure you add the port 5901. Okay. We're going to establish. We're going to close that up. Great. Awesome. So next thing is backup solution. There's different ways to do backup solutions of this. I'm not really going into detail. Most likely I'm going to do a write-up at my website. So stay tuned for that. Share sync files. Nextcloud is a nice little utility that allows you to have all your files synced out to other mobile devices. It's like Dropbox, but for the Linux platform. This is how you install it, and this is how you enable it. So I guarantee you this is going to take a while to install. So let's see if we could do sudo snap install Nextcloud. Hit enter. And see if it works out. And this guy works on a 443 HTTPS, and it would be the IP address. See if it works. Huh? Your arm is burning? Your eyes? Yeah. All right, I'm almost done. What's wrong with your eyes? All right, we're almost done. I know. This thing is just running so slow. All right, so I'm going to end it right here, guys, because it's just taking too long. I do appreciate all the support. I appreciate all you guys stopping by, catching the live stream. I have to head out. It's gone crazy. Yeah, I see Alex Lopez. Thank you so much for tuning that in. I think the last thing that I could not touch base on, you guys, is the Nextcloud. The information is at the Google Doc. Nextcloud is just like Dropbox. It's a feature that allows you to sync your files throughout other mobile devices. If you have like an iPhone, iPad, you're able to sync your stuff to your Linux home server, which is a pretty cool thing. It's going to take some time for me to install it on the server, and I can't have my little boy with me. I have to go take care of him. I do appreciate all the love and the support that you guys stopping by. Again, if I forget to distribute the Google Doc tonight, just let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for all the support, guys, and I catch you next week on the next one. Peace out. So, all right, so how... and my son says, have a nice day. So I think my son wants to say bye to you guys, because he's been a trooper.
Bye-bye, guys. Have fun to my father.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.